Why do humans wear clothes? That sounds like a simple question. It isn't, because clothes are strange. They are so normal now that we forget how unnatural they really are. Most animals survive with fur, feathers, scales, or skin. Humans survive by making a second skin, something we can wear, change, decorate, judge, obey, and use to tell the world who we are. Clothes did not stay simple for long. They began as protection, but they became identity, status, control, industry, and self-expression. The history of clothes is really the history of what humans decided the body should mean. We do not know the exact day humans first wore clothes. The earliest garments were made from things that rot: animal skins, fur, grass, bark fiber, simple wraps tied around the body. Those materials disappeared long before history could record them. But we do know the problem early humans faced. As human bodies changed, they carried less protective hair than many other mammals. They also migrated into harsher environments: cold, wind, rain, strong sun, sharp plants, insects. The body needed help. A shelter protects you only when you stay inside it. Clothing was shelter that moved with you. The first clothes were probably simple: a skin draped over the shoulders, a fur wrap, a plant fiber skirt, or a belt holding pieces in place. They were not elegant. They were not fashionable. They were useful. Clothing began as survival technology. It helped people trap warmth, protect their skin, avoid injuries, and travel through places the human body was never built to survive naked. These early garments were not made in factories. They were made by hand, cut, scraped, softened, tied, adjusted, and repaired again and again. Even the crudest piece of clothing mattered, because once humans could carry protection on their own bodies, they could move farther, live longer, and survive in environments that once would have killed them. But loose wrapping was only the beginning. A hide thrown over the body helps. A fitted garment changes everything. That is where sewing matters. At some point, humans developed tools that could pierce material and pull fiber through it. Bone needles, awls, thread made from animal sinew or plant fibers. Now clothing could fit close to the body. It could cover arms and legs more effectively. It could reduce heat loss. It could move better with the person wearing it. The needle was not a small invention. It helped humans carry warmth into colder worlds, and once people could shape clothing, they could also begin shaping appearance. For a long time, clothing depended on hides and simple natural materials, but eventually humans learned something even more powerful. They could make fabric. Fiber could be twisted into thread. Thread could be woven into cloth. That changed the history of clothing completely. Animal skin is limited. Fabric can be made, repeated, measured, traded, dyed, folded, and tailored. Linen, wool, and later cotton allowed clothing to become lighter, more flexible, and more varied. Now clothes were not only something taken from nature, they were something increasingly manufactured by human skill. Clothing was becoming craft, and craft was becoming culture. Once clothes did more than protect the body, they began to communicate. They could show who someone was, where they came from, what role they held, and how others were expected to treat them. Clothing could signal age, marriage, status, mourning, celebration, or power before a person even spoke. It became one of the fastest ways to send social information. Color mattered. Shape mattered. Jewelry, head coverings, patterns, and materials all carried meaning. The body no longer entered society alone. It entered already interpreted. Clothes could show who belonged, who stood apart, and who had authority over others. As societies grew more unequal, clothing became status made visible. The rich did not just own more. They wore the proof in fine fabrics, rare dyes, complex decoration, better tailoring, cleaner garments, and layers that ordinary people could not afford. In some societies, this went even further. Rules were created about who was allowed to wear certain colors, materials, ornaments, or styles. Rulers, priests, soldiers, servants, and slaves could all be made visible through clothing. That is what makes clothing more than personal taste. It can also become a form of social control. A society does not only tell people what to do, it can also tell them what they are allowed to look like. For most of history, cloth was expensive because it demanded time. Someone had to raise animals for wool, grow flax or cotton, spin the fiber, weave the cloth, cut it, sew it, repair it, wash it. Clothing was labor, a lot of labor. That meant clothes were valuable. It also meant textile work became one of the biggest forms of human production in many societies. Long before modern fashion brands, clothing was already tied to trade, labor, and economy. The shirt on a person's back was part of a much larger system. Then the modern world accelerated everything. Machines made cloth faster, factories made garments in larger numbers. Standard sizes made clothing more accessible, fashion changed more quickly. Brands appeared, uniforms spread. And eventually, fast fashion made clothing cheaper, faster, and more disposable than ever before. Modern clothing did something strange. It made identity easier to buy, but often harder to understand. Because now what we wear is no longer only survival, it is a constant message. Clothes began as protection from the world. Then they became one of the main ways the world speaks back to us. They protect the body, but they also organize society, signal identity, show status, and shape how we are seen before we ever speak. The history of clothes is not only the history of fashion, it is the history of survival, meaning, and power worn on the human body. If you want more stories about the origins of the world around us, watch one of these next.